Left Bench Sports.
We'll be talking about the Giants' degrading loss to the Seahawks, the Jets' loss to the Chiefs, college football and fantasy football.
The Giants got destroyed yet again by another NFC West team.
The Seahawks game with the Giants was quite a rough one, to be honest, for them. I mean, Daniel Jones, even though he had his highest passing completion record in his career, which was around 75%, he got sacked 10 times through a crazy interception to Davon Witherspoon for a 97-yard pick six, which was kind of crazy.
The O-line just has to be better. He needs much more time to throw.
I mean, there were some bad play calls, too, in my opinion, especially with the one play that they called the tush push.
Yeah.
One of their linemen, Andrew Thomas, got injured in the play of it, but he's only out for the game. But some of the play calls definitely could have been better, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's the second week in a row where Jones has thrown an interception and did not score a touchdown.
Kayvon Thibodeaux was the only Giants player to come up with 2 sacks on Geno Smith.
Yeah, and the Seahawks defense definitely shined, though. 11 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and Geno was also pretty good. He got over 100 yards and a touchdown. So,
I mean, the touchdown that was thrown to DK Metcalf was a really good throw, to be honest, from Geno. Well played.
Is it time to panic for the Giants or not yet?
I mean, to be honest, the Giants are in a rough spot right now, to be honest. I'm not sure about if they're going to make their way out of it, but it's definitely not a great time for the Giants this year, and I'm rooting for them to get back on their feet again, to go back for some good games and maybe win a couple.
Yeah, and with this, how bad this defense has been, I do not trust them against the Dolphins at all.
No, I mean, I myself am a Dolphins fan, and I think this year I'm happy to say they're doing pretty well. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the Dolphins are gonna smush you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I just don't think that they can contain Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, as long as we have like 2 around and Tyreek Hill put together, it's an absolute power duo.
That'll do it for this week's Giants coverage.
Don't go anywhere. Another Jets rant from Jesse's coming up.
Welcome back to Left Bench Sports, and today we're going to be talking about the Jets and the Chiefs game, mainly the Jets. But despite everyone's estimations, Wilson actually managed to do better this week. Not only did he do better, but he actually is the only person ever in NFL or college history to outplay Patrick Mahomes in a game with 245 passing yards and 2 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Given that Mahomes kind of played like trash in the last game, he was having an off day. But on the other hand, the Jets also got robbed from that game with the Patrick Mahomes effect that he has on the refs. I mean, some people refuse to make calls when they see Mahomes out on the field, like that atrocious holding call on, I can't remember who the player was, but they were both holding each other and going back and forth, completely wrapped up, no calls whatsoever, no flags, nothing like that, which, I mean, things like that cost people games, and that's a problem with this league, is that, you know, the refs are really either missing important calls, or they're just making it all about themselves and not actually calling what they should. So, with that being said, I need more time to trust Wilson's capabilities. I mean, the Chiefs' defense is number 6 in the NFL through 4 weeks so far, which, I mean, it's no small feat to be able to beat them that badly, or the way he did, but I mean, I think Wilson could be going somewhere here, but I'd need another 2 weeks, maybe even 3 at least, to trust his capabilities in leading this Jets offense so far. But, I mean, going back to Mahomes, he really seemed like he couldn't corral his offense properly. I mean, like I said before, with Wilson being the first one to ever best him in that game, that kind of shows a lot about how Mahomes was really mentally last game, or something along those lines. But I think despite my comments last week, I think Wilson does have a future here if he can continue to play like this. If he can't, which I could also see that happening, then, like I said last week, we're stuck here with this Jets offense. But I think this is a good sign for the Jets, and if they can carry on like this, then they could have a playoff shot if they can come back from it and continue to play the way they played against this Chiefs defense. I mean, I think they could really be going somewhere this week and in weeks to come. That's all for me today. After the break, we'll be right back with Jake and Smitty on college football.
Hello and welcome back to Left Bench Sports. Thank you, Jesse, for that segment on the Chiefs vs. Jets game, and we'll now be talking about Week 5 of college football. So first, we're going to be looking at the USC vs. Colorado game, and this game started off looking like a complete blowout for USC as they started off with a 21-0 lead. Shedeur Sanders was able to throw a touchdown pass to Jimmy Horn and a run for a score going to the second half, making it 34-14. But it wasn't looking good at this point. Smitty, at this point, did you think it was going to be another blowout like Oregon game or what?
Like after the start that USC had, I did think it was probably going to be a blowout like how Oregon did. But then Shedeur Sanders came back after the first half, and they just started firing on all cylinders with like two touchdown passes in the third, and then also 2 in the fourth. I think that it was just a better second half for Shedeur Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, I think overall they did a lot better getting the offense going. Caleb Williams still came out firing in the third quarter, threw another 2 touchdown passes. But Colorado, all of a sudden, their offense started to show some light. Shedeur threw for another touchdown. Anthony Hankerson ran for one. Going into the fourth quarter, I didn't think anyone thought that Colorado could win, but Shedeur did make it interesting with another touchdown pass. And within the final 2 minutes, Shedeur was able to get them into scoring territory, and they made it a 1-touchdown game. Did you think Colorado had a chance to make a crazy comeback in the second?
Yes, I did think the Colorado Buffaloes did have a crazy comeback. Like they could have had if they got one more touchdown, they could have made maybe one of the best comebacks in college football ever. But they just couldn't finish out the game, and they had a good second half, but it was just not enough to finish off the game.
Yeah, I think not that they couldn't finish it off, but it was a great second half, just not enough time starting off the game that slow. I think the real problem is their defense, but he did throw another touchdown pass, make it a 1-score game, but 2 minutes left, not even enough time, especially with Caleb Williams on offense, like 403 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Colorado fell just short. But what do you think Colorado needs to do better to win this game and these types of games in the future, like these big teams? What do you think they need to do?
I think Colorado needs to come out stronger, much stronger on their offense and defense. They just come out too slow, and the team just gets a big head start on them, and they just make the game just so much more difficult for them because they can stick with the high-level teams. It's just that they don't come out strong enough, and then like you said, they run out of time, and they just don't have enough time left to play, and the game is over.
Yeah, I think like what I said last week, if they had a good defense, I think they maybe would have even won that game because 48 points to allow in a game, that's pretty crazy. You can't really do that. So their offense, definitely a great game. Maybe if their defense was strong, they would have won. Mm-hmm. But I think, next 2 years, Deion's going to build something good. All right, moving on. Later that evening, we had another great matchup. Ole Miss versus LSU. Crazy game from both teams. High scoring, exciting. Both quarterbacks had crazy games. Jaden Daniels, 414 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Jackson Dart, 389 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. So both offenses are for sure elite. Like the score is 31-28 at halftime. Smitty, which team did you think was winning before the game started?
I think Ole Miss was going to win, but because they just have a strong team, they have a strong offense, especially at their QB situation. Their QB can throw the ball deep. He has a great arm. He just overall is just a great QB, and in the future he's going to look great. And just Ole Miss had just a great game, but so did LSU. Just Ole Miss just had a better game.
Yeah. Let's just look at some of the crazy performances because there was 1,343 passing yards in the whole game from both teams. Mm-hmm. So LSU, Logan Diggs had 101 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels, along with 99 rushing yards and a touchdown. I'm telling you, he's been taking some hard hits recently. I'm hoping he's not going to get hurt. Brian Thomas Jr., 124 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Just crazy stats. Malik Neighbors adding in 102 yards for receiving. Let's look at Ole Miss. Quinton Judkins, 177 yards rushing and a touchdown. Trey Harris, 153 receiving yards and a touchdown. Jordan Watkins also over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Both teams absolute offensive powerhouses and very fun games to watch. With Ole Miss winning 59-49, LSU moves back to 23rd and Ole Miss climbs back up to 16th. For the last game of the day, we had Duke and Notre Dame. So going into this game, Notre Dame was ranked 11th and Duke was also ranked 17th. I thought Notre Dame was winning this game. Smitty, who did you have?
I also had Notre Dame winning this game. Overall, they're just a better team than Duke. They are Sam Hartman especially. Sam Hartman he's good. I think he might be great. Not like great, but like he's gonna be great in the NFL. Like he's a good QB and he has the receivers and he has the offensive line that can get him to pass the ball, even to run the ball. Like for him to run the ball or give the ball to one of his running backs is just he has a great offense.
Yeah, maybe a team could pick him up in the NFL.
Hello, welcome back to Left Bench Sports. I'm your host, Myles Berkowitz, and this is Luke Jaclin. Now I'll be talking about some of our favorite waiver wire pickups for the upcoming fantasy week.
It was a good week for around the NFL. Now let's talk about some fantasy football implications this week and who we want to pick up on the waiver wire.
Well, first I'd like to talk about Romeo Doubs. The second-year receiver got a combined 25 targets over the past 2 weeks. He had 18 points last week, and he had 9 catches for 13 targets and 95 yards. The reason I really like him because, one, he's a second-year receiver, and I think he has a really good shot to break out this season. He really, to me, looks like a young Devontae Adams, and the thing that I really like about him is that Jordan Love, Packers, not a great defense. They're going to be thrown a lot, as they did last Thursday against the Lions. So I think he's really going to be involved in the passing game, and to everybody's surprise, really, Christian Watson did not look that great in his past couple weeks. I know he was recovering from a hamstring injury, but he did not look that great. And I'm looking for Romeo to get more involved during the season.
Yeah, you're right. Jordan Love has been throwing a lot in this offense, and it's mostly been to Dobbs and not Watson, which is somewhat surprising because Watson was their guy at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But that was with a different quarterback, obviously. And, I mean, Dobbs has been great so far this year. Again, second-year guy. And another great pickup this week could be Jordan Love, the new quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. So far this year, he has been quarterback 4 in fantasy football, and he's only rostered in like 61% of leagues. So that could be a great pickup.
Oh, yeah. In all the 12-man leagues, 12 and 10-man leagues, I think he's going to be available, and I think, depending on the matchup, he should be started.
Yeah. I mean, he should be starting in all leagues. He's quarterback 4.
Yeah.
He shows some great rushing upside, which somewhat surprised me because we hadn't seen that so far, in a good offense that we didn't really see coming so far this year, but they've been good. He's been getting a lot of points.
Mm-hmm. And what I also really like about him, as you mentioned, is the rushing upside. That's the key to fantasy points, at least in PPR leagues, is that your quarterback, all the top quarterbacks, Lamar, Richardson, Fields, at least last year, they all had rushing upside. And
Yeah.
I really like that about him.
It's great to pass the ball, but in fantasy, you get a lot more points for running than you do for passing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at least in our league, it's 4 points for a passing touchdown and standard 6 for a rushing touchdown. So, well, the last player we'd like to talk about is Tyler Boyd, who I think, because of T. Higgins' injury, is going to assume a larger role in the passing offense. Higgins will probably be out this week with a broken rib. Last week, he wasn't that great. He had 7 catches and 6.6 fantasy points, but I really like that his role is set to expand with T. Higgins' injury, and I'm hoping that the Bengals pick it up this week. It's been a while. I've rostered T. Higgins in both of my leagues. It hasn't been a great experience, but if just somehow they can pick it up, I know they only somehow had 3 points against the Titans last week. That was
I don't know how that's
embarrassing.
possible.
for
Their
them.
offense was great last year. The real key to them getting back on track is Joe Burrow. I mean, he's now one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He has to play like it. So far, through the first 4 games this year, he has not.
Oh, yeah. The $275 million man has not lived up to the hype this far.
No, I could see their entire team getting back on track if he just plays well the rest of this year. I mean, I think they're like 1-3 so far, so they could easily get back if he plays like he had so far in his career.
Yep. And to do that, I think he's going to need to target Tyler Boyd a little bit more because of the Higgins injury.
Yeah, obviously Jamar Chase is great, but Tyler Boyd could be really good too. If T. Higgins is out and Joe Burrow steps up, Tyler Boyd could be a great option.
And another thing is that Higgins is on the last year of his contract, so I mean, he's playing for money at this point if the team's not winning. So I really like the pickup of Boyd. That's all we have for Left Bench Sports this week. See you next week as we have officially moved past the quarter season mark for the NFL season.